Hello and welcome back to the DocMo Show. This is where successful and busy professionals like us get the real answers that we need that are holding us back from feeling the best that we can. And today's episode is going to be good because I know that a lot of us out there, including myself, often spend hundreds of dollars on natural supplements to try to feel better, more energetic, stronger, all the things that we want to feel at our optimal health, but we are still feeling exhausted, having the brain fog, not feeling on top of our game, despite taking the A to Z alphabet soup of supplements. And today I want to let you know that you are not going crazy. You are not alone. A lot of those supplements do not work. And today, we'll be diving into the top 5 natural supplement mistakes that I see successful, smart people making all the time just because we don't know. And so I want you to have the information to be able to make the best decisions when it comes to choosing natural supplements. Before we jump fully into this episode, I have a quick question for you. Do you feel constantly tired or struggle with brain fog or poor focus? Or do you feel overwhelmed by all the conflicting and confusing health information and advice that's out there? And on top of that, no matter how many solutions you try, nothing ever works. If any of that sounds familiar, I want you to know that you are not alone. In fact, that's exactly why I created the 1 Week Wellness Academy. It is a 100% free 5-day challenge where I personally guide you through the foundations of natural wellness step by step. On day 1 alone, we solved the most confusing and annoying problem that most people face, and that is what to eat. In that day, I am giving you the exact calculations that I use with my private clients to determine the precise amount of calories and the right eating plan for their body, because what you need is unique to you and your body and your metabolism. It does not matter what anyone else is doing, and that is just day 1. The rest of the week, we are diving into how to detox the right way without all the traps of getting worse before you get better, because honestly, that's nonsense. And if you're getting super sick, that means that something's not right. We will also be learning how to choose the right supplements for your body and how to avoid the bad ones with banned or toxic ingredients. And we'll look at how to balance fitness with recovery. And then we wrap up the entire week by exploring the hidden root causes of these chronic mystery illnesses like chronic fatigue and brain fog, especially when you go to your doctor and all of your tests are normal. Honestly, this program is the equivalent of over 100 years of medical research, 25 years of my personal wellness journey, and over 15 years of clinical practice and all the trial and error that went in between, all distilled down into just 1 hour a day over 5 days. And again, it is totally free. So if you are ready to cut through all the noise and finally have your own complete step-by-step personal wellness plan to follow that is fun and flexible and completely dialed in for your body, then go to momawellness.com/1week or click the link in the description. And I can't wait to see you inside the 1 Week Wellness Academy. I'm Dr. Angela Mosley, and as a functional medicine doctor for more than the last 14 years, I have seen these 5 mistakes over and over, and choosing the right supplements really could be keeping you stuck in your progress or even making you worse. And so we're going to talk about those things today. If you have ever bought a product or a supplement, a powder or a pill that's promising you some sort of transformative miracle that if you just take this one thing, then you're going to get better, then you need to stay tuned to today's episode. And if you're ready, let's dive right in. The first thing I want to talk about is the fact that supplements themselves are heavily marketed. Supplement companies are pouring billions of dollars into their marketing for branding and creating their color schemes and ads and all these things to make their products appealing to you. And what they're not pouring a lot of money into is into the quality of that actual product and educating you on what truly makes a supplement effective and safe to take. They incorporate tricks like putting labels like plant-based or natural, but natural doesn't mean effective, and plant-based doesn't mean safe. And all the studies show terminology that they use doesn't mean that that applies to you and your body and what you have going on. And it doesn't mean that it applies to their supplement, because most vitamins or supplements are not independently tested. In fact, they are not regulated by the FDA. They aren't regulated at all. If they want to be regulated, the company has to self-regulate. And there are some independent companies that will do third-party testing of supplements in a way for quality to make sure that what they say is in the product is actually in there, and those ingredients and nothing else, no contaminants, and that those ingredients are at the levels that they say they're going to be at. And so those are going to be some of the things that we're talking about. There's more to it than that, but we're going to get deeper into this discussion today. But I feel like a lot of people are surprised when they learn that the supplement industry truly is not regulated. They can literally sell you anything. They can put dirt in a capsule and sell it to you as a supplement. Now, as long as it doesn't cause people to get sick or die, they can keep doing it. And the FDA doesn't step in or start to regulate or investigate things until a certain product is causing problems for multiple people and that gets reported. And there are some true schemes going on out here with companies that will bottle or package products that they know has been rejected by the FDA. Sometimes they will even put known dangerous ingredients in there, but because it will create a certain result, they'll sell it as a supplement, get that company shut down because they know it's going to create an issue, but because so many people respond to the frenzy of marketing and, oh, I saw somebody on social, and those images are so powerful at getting people to make buying decisions that they will sell these supplements and sell tons of it, make several $1,000,000, get shut down, and then open a brand new company, sell the same thing under a totally different brand, totally different marketing, totally different company name, and just keep repeating the same thing over and over. And that is kind of their business model, to run these scammy type companies and keep getting shut down over and over again. And so I would say that's on the extreme end, kind of the worst of the worst in the industry, companies that are doing that. And so those are definitely ones you want to avoid. And you would find these especially in the hormone space, in the weight loss space, those type of supplements, testosterone replacement, anything to lose weight and that sort of thing. You got to be a little bit wary of if you're really seeing a lot of this trendy type messaging, very pushy. You got to get these bottles now. Don't buy one, buy three, buy five, buy 10. They are trying to offload that product. So buyers need to be aware of these practices that are happening. I like countdowns, the backwards countdown, because it kind of builds the anticipation and all that. So we're going to start with number 5. And I would say this one is a little bit more mild on the list because it doesn't create the truly negative impact that we can see with some of these as we get deeper into the list. The number 5 supplement issue that I see is that the dosage of the ingredients are just too low. And what do I mean by too low? For vitamins, for supplements, nutrients to truly have an impact on your body and on your health in a positive way, certain amounts of that particular nutrient is required. It's just like if you eat food, a certain amount of calories is necessary to satisfy your hunger. So I'll use a completely ridiculous example. If I eat like 1 grain of rice, that's not going to do anything. But I can say, yeah, I ate a grain of rice, which won't do anything. Okay, let's say maybe I ate a cup of rice. Well, for one whole day, that's not really enough to do much of anything. There's a certain amount of calories that we need every day to actually make an impact on our hunger, to actually support our body's metabolism, and to give our body what it needs to actually function during the day as far as our different calories that we need. And the same concept happens with vitamins and nutrients that we can take in supplement form. Certain amounts of a particular vitamin is required. For instance, if you're having low B vitamins, that replacement needs to be at certain dosages. And so this is a common one that I see is especially with the B vitamins, that they will sell vitamins at such low levels, like micro doses, that it's not really going to have an impact. So you can take that vitamin every single day and think like, I'm not really feeling anything. And that's because there's just not enough in there. Now, one of the ways that supplement companies determine and do the labeling on the bottles and determine how much of the supplement to put in there, like what amounts, is by what they call the required daily intake. But those required daily intake numbers are obsolete information. These were designated back in the 1920s and 1930s. We have over 100 years of research since then on vitamins and nutrients and the impact that they have on the body. And so for vitamin D, for instance, that recommended daily intake for vitamin D is around 400 to 600 IUs a day. And that won't really do anything beneficial for your body. It honestly won't. When those vitamin D recommendations were made, they were, again, back in the 1920s. They were trying to prevent rickets. And so some people would get disfiguration in the bones. We don't see rickets anymore. We don't have vitamin D levels that low. And so that's why when you check your vitamin D level at the doctor's office, that level on the lab test says if it's 30 or over, then you have a normal vitamin D level, but that is not normal. We now know that we need vitamin D levels between 60 and 100 based on newer research, which the industry hasn't caught up. They're still operating on 30, a vitamin D level of 30 in order to replace vitamin D. And only if it's less than that, then we intervene and do something about it. However, we now know that when you get vitamin D levels between 60 and 100, it helps to reduce risk of breast cancer, colon cancer, heart attacks in men, diabetes, lots of different conditions that we can impact with having higher levels. And the lab tests just don't reflect that. And supplement companies take advantage of that information gap and will put micro doses of vitamin D in a supplement. A 400 IU of vitamin D is not going to do very much for you at all a day. And yet everybody should be running to their cabinets looking at the labels to see how much you're getting in every day. For me in my practice, and no, I'm not telling you go out and buy high dose vitamin D. We need to take what our body needs. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But since I'm on the example of vitamin D, I use about 5,000 units for a maintenance dose for people who are vitamin D deficient. And I did say for maintaining dosages and for people who are deficient, which means they have actually had their levels checked. So one thing I do not believe in is taking supplements without testing. We'll get to that too. I feel like I'm doing a lot of spoilers here of things that I'm going to talk about later. But this one example kind of brings everything full circle to me. And so we see this across the board with multiple different vitamins, multiple different types of supplements, that companies are basing what they put in their supplements based on recommended daily intake, which that's outdated, obsolete information, doesn't draw off the most recent information and research that we have out now. Also, I think part of the reason that companies do that is that they know that supplements and vitamins are actually really powerful therapeutic options for the body. And if you take too much of a certain vitamin or supplement and your body does not need it, then you can get into other issues and trouble in your body. You can create symptoms just by taking vitamins and supplements. It is not just, oh, it's natural, so it's safe. And so I think that they are, in a sense, protecting themselves from the society at large from taking too much of certain vitamins. And so they just put these small little doses that really aren't going to do anything in there. But then they can point back to the research and say, oh, this vitamin has been shown to help with this condition. And so then you think because you take it, it's going to help you, but that's not what that statement means. It doesn't mean anything at all, because in the research study, they tell us how much of a particular supplement is required to have an effect, and they are not telling you that part in their marketing materials. Now let's move on to mistake number 4 on our countdown. And I would say that mistake number 4, I see all the time as well, because sometimes we look at supplement labels, but I think probably most people don't. The supplement decisions are being made by just the marketing message, what they say it's going to do for you, how the packaging looks. If it looks appealing, then we choose a supplement that way. But a lot of information that we need to know about the supplement and the quality is on the label. So yes, we talked about the dosage that can be found in the label, but the next issue is the actual form of the supplement. So a common one that we can relate to is like magnesium. Magnesium comes in a lot of different forms. Magnesium citrate, magnesium glycinate, magnesium malate. So there are different forms of magnesium that you can get. Now with magnesium, it doesn't necessarily make the most earth-shattering difference which one you choose. Now certain ones do matter. You might not want to be using the magnesium citrate for magnesium replacement if that's what you're taking. But with other types of vitamins, especially the B vitamins, for instance, they recommend pregnant women to take folic acid when they're pregnant to help the baby's development, prevent spinal column defects and neural tube deformations during pregnancy. However, folic acid is not the active or helpful form of B9, which is what natural folate is. And so what we want instead is folate, not folic acid in our vitamin. And there is a chemical difference in those two compounds. So what we want to find is the most active, the most beneficial form of the vitamin, and the most usable form of the vitamin to our body. And this comes up a lot. And we can see the difference on the label only if we know precisely what we're looking for. And it's going to be super hard just for someone wanting to take supplements just to support their health to know what's what when you're looking at the label. But that's a big one that I see, the folic acid versus folate. So look at your label and look at the B vitamins. And when you get to B9, if it says folic acid, get rid of it. And when you want it to say folate instead, sometimes it'll say methylfolate, different forms, but folate is what we want. This is also common with vitamin C as well. So most of what they sell as vitamin C over the counter actually is not true vitamin C. It's a metabolite of vitamin C. Vitamin C is something called L-ascorbate, or just ascorbate by itself. L is just kind of the chemical direction that that molecule is built in when you look at it at the molecular level. But they are selling ascorbic acid as vitamin C. And that, I remember growing up, they would even teach us, oh, vitamin C is ascorbic acid. That's the chemical name for it. That's not vitamin C. I didn't learn this till like years and years later. It's ascorbate that is vitamin C that has the power to function and work as an antioxidant in your body. Ascorbic acid may have a little bit of usefulness in the body when it comes to being an antioxidant and that sort of thing. But what we want is ascorbate. And the majority of what they are selling is not the actual full potency form of vitamin C. And I'll give you a few metaphors to understand the difference. So vitamin C in its potent form has to be protected from oxygen. It's an antioxidant. So that ox part, that oxidant, reacts with oxygen or the air or certain molecules in your body called free radicals. Oxygen gives electrons to catalyze certain reactions in the body. And vitamin C picks up extra electrons that are around. It can neutralize those because free radicals in the body and the cells do lots of damage to the cells and the cellular structure and will interfere with how your mitochondria is able to produce energy in the body. And the natural processes will produce free radicals on a regular basis. This is how we get into cell damage, into oxidative stress. All that is a function of oxygen. So yes, we're breathing in oxygen. We need that. We need those reactions to occur. But at the same time, we need those nutrients to balance out the toxicity that's created in the process, the free radicals that are created in the process. And so this is why it becomes important to consume your fruits and your vegetables. Do the basic things that we know need to be done to support our body and our health. It's not for no reason that those are fundamental recommendations for how to stay well. Pretty much everyone knows, eat fruits, eat vegetables. Although certain schools of thought are like, oh no, you don't need that, get that out of your life. And I'm like, no, that's going to be problematic because your body will build up that free radical damage over time. And so what do? Turn over those labels. Does that vitamin C column say ascorbic acid next to it? Or does it say ascorbate? That's the thing we want to look for. Again, going back to where we were on number 5, what's the dosage of it? So we need to start collecting these different details to really build a full profile of what's going to be the most beneficial type supplements for our unique body. I often say that using ascorbic acid instead of ascorbate. So the typical what they sell as vitamin C is almost like them selling you chewed up bubble gum. It's already used. There's not much usefulness you're going to get out of gum that someone already chewed before you. It's like, I don't want that. I want the fresh piece that I can enjoy and chew from the start myself. You can also think of it because in order to produce L-ascorbate, it has to be produced in an oxygen-free environment. Otherwise, it's going to start reacting with the air as they are creating the supplement. And so there is one company that will make the vitamin C under a nitrogen blanket. They take really detailed care to produce a high quality product. And when the physician who explained the process to me, who established the company in the first place, explained to me how it all worked, the thought I had was, it's kind of like how fruit has a peel on it. So your apples have a peel, bananas have a peel, oranges have a peel, and that keeps the fruit fresh for a certain amount of time. So protecting that inner vitamin C from reacting with the air in the environment. And so think about having ascorbic acid. If you got an apple and the peel was damaged and you could see the inside fruit and flesh of that fruit already, like you're not really going to want to eat that. Like once the peel is damaged, it's starting to rot inside pretty quickly. Like after a few minutes, it's already going to start turning brown. And then it's going to start drying out around the edges. And I mean, it doesn't take long for that decay process to happen. The same thing with a banana, the same thing with an orange. Those things really start to dry out and lose their benefit and their potency really fast after that outer peel is damaged. And so we're getting the damaged version of vitamin C, that rotten fruit version, versus the fresh fruit version. And we don't want that. Give us some natural L-ascorbate is what we want because it's going to give our bodies what we need. And yes, it is totally, for whatever reason, legal for companies to label ascorbic acid as vitamin C, even though that's not what it is. It's a used metabolite of vitamin C. And I'll present one more example of supplements being in the wrong form with another B vitamin. and that's B12. So B12 is a common vitamin that a lot of people like to take in supplement form because they think it's going to give you energy and help with your metabolism and those sorts of things. However, the majority of what they sell over the counter as B12, it is B12, but not in the wrong form like I was talking about with the folate and the vitamin C. Now with B12, the most common form they sell is also the cheapest form of B12 you can produce, which is something called cyanocobalamin. Now cobalamin is the chemical name for B12, and it can come in different forms. So cyano, again, that's the most common what they sell. They can make it really cheap. You have adenosylcobalamin, methylcobalamin, hydroxycobalamin. And so those other three versions are much healthier versions of the B12 that you can take. Cyanocobalamin, which is the most popular one that lots of vitamins and supplements use, even these trendy vitamins that you see on social media that claim to be so clean, when you actually check the label, I found several of them. Some of the green powders, some of the multivitamins, turn your labels over. Don't just go by the branding and the marketing and they look so healthy and vibrant and active. These people are good at marketing, not at producing supplements that will help you. But when you turn that label over and see that cyanocobalamin, so the way they have produced this B12 molecule is with a substance called cyanide. Yes, the poison cyanide that have been used to kill people and that sort of thing is a poison. But it's in micro doses and it's totally legal to sell. And I took cyanocobalamin for years because it was before I knew this information, before I started studying natural supplements and what to do for our bodies to keep it healthy naturally. But yes, you get micro doses of this cyanide in your body when you're taking cyanocobalamin because those two molecules have to separate once it gets in your body. So where's that cyanide going? It's not in a high enough dose to make you keel over right away, but I can't imagine that it's doing anything positive or healthy for your body. Could that be contributing to fatigue, to aches and pains that are happening, to just not feeling as well as you could, to the brain fog? You're putting micro doses of poison in your body? I don't know about that. So that's definitely something that I try to avoid, especially when I'm looking at supplements. And there are other versions of this as well. You know, I'm just putting out a few examples of things that I see very commonly. All right. Continuing on our countdown, we are at number 3 of the top biggest supplement mistakes that I see. And this kind of brings us to some of the scary truth about the supplement industry and supplement quality control. Supplements are not regulated by the FDA. I think I mentioned that before. And it's up to each supplement company to regulate itself and ensure the quality of its products and ensure that what's in the bottle and in the supplement that you're taking is what's listed on the label. When they do independent tests, there was a study done in the Journal of American Medical Association, JAMA, several years back, and they showed that about 80% of supplements were contaminated, or what it said on the label wasn't what was actually in the supplement. So 80%, that's pretty not good out there. And so when you consider that 80% of supplements don't really have what they say they have in it, plus you combine that with out of that other 20%, is it even in the right form that you need? Is it the right dosage that you need? Once we start adding these components together, the number of supplements that can really be trusted and that really have what we need and that can really make an impact on your health, that number gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And so there are very few supplements and supplement companies that I actually trust to provide a good, high quality product with the right dosages that are going to have an effect and not just be taking something that's not going to do anything at all, or be of poor quality or contain ingredients that are not listed on the label. I don't want that. I want to know what I'm putting in my body. I want to be sure about what I'm consuming and what I'm ingesting, and want to make sure that it will have a positive impact on myself and my health. And some of us are giving supplements to our families, our husbands or wives or parents or kids. And you consider that a lot of these labels are not labeled correctly. That's pretty scary. One example I have of this was a pretty scary situation that I had with one of my clients several years ago. And it was a woman. She was taking a DHEA supplement, which is a hormone supplement. You can take that. You can find it over the counter. I'm not telling anybody to take that. I think you definitely need your hormone levels tested to make sure that it's something you need, know what dose to do. And I think this story might deter people from just going and running out and just buying something and taking it. So she started taking DHEA on her own. She found this supplement over the counter. Once we investigated the supplement later, after I tell you what happened, that supplement was produced over in East Asia. And it's not the highest quality conditions where these supplements are being produced oftentimes. And many people do not care about anything except for you giving them your money for a poor quality product. And so when she first came to me, she was having a lot of symptoms, being in menopause, low energy. But the things that she was most concerned about was she was really feeling angry all the time and edgy, and kind of, she was recently married, in menopause, middle age, but her new husband was the sweetest guy, but she was biting his head off every 5 minutes. And I'm like, you literally just got married. If you want to stay that way, we're really going to need you to calm down. And soon we figured out what it was about, because when I checked her labs and her hormone levels, her testosterone levels were off the charts, like higher than any man I've ever seen. I mean, when I got the report, my mouth dropped open. I was like literally scared that she was going to have a heart attack or something. Like, those testosterone levels were sky high. Not even at a man's level, like past 2-3 times past where a man's level should ever be. And so we started asking questions. What is going on? Like, how are your testosterone levels this high? And she was like, I don't know. So we reviewed her supplement list, and she was taking the DHEA supplement. Now, DHEA is an adrenal hormone. It's one of the precursor hormones. And after DHEA metabolizes, it produces testosterone in the body. And so what we figured was, it said it was a low dose, like a 15 milligram DHEA, which that can be a bit much for women sometimes, but not that much. So we figured that whatever that label said, there had to be many times more than what that DHEA said on the label for her levels to really get that high. And so I know there's no way at a 5 milligram, at a 10 milligram, at a 15 milligram DHEA, you're going to push testosterone levels that high. It had to be way more inside that supplement, not listed on the label. And again, these companies are not regulated by any regulatory body. They are regulating themselves. And so that was a really scary moment, because I'm like, you're taking this supplement, it's affecting your hormones in this profound way, and you have no idea. You think you're taking something to help, and you got one foot in the grave already, and you don't know it. And so instead, I like to use supplement companies, especially for hormone supplements, for all of them, but definitely if you are considering anything for hormone balance and things like that, those supplements need to be third-party tested. And that means not in-house third-party tested, by an external lab that is testing and batch testing their supplements. There are different ways to do third-party testing. And so some companies will kind of get by with saying Oh, we've had third-party testing, but at what level of testing? Did they just come in once a month and just test some stuff? The best companies will batch test their supplement, like every batch that comes out, test it for contaminants, test it for the dosage of the ingredients, test it for the quality level of the supplement on every single batch. Every company does not do that. And so this is starting to distinguish the levels of supplement companies and supplement quality that is out there. And there are very few supplement companies that actually go through that process. Because at the end of the day, the name of the game is make as much money as you can. It's a money grab. And most people don't know. They're not aware that these differences exist. They're not aware that the industry isn't regulated. They aren't aware that people will literally sell you anything over the counter you think it's to help you, but actually it's going to hurt you at the end of the day. And don't get me wrong, I do believe in taking supplements when necessary. They are super beneficial if you're taking the right thing, if it's the right quality, if it's what your body needs. All right, so the next thing on our list, we're down to number 2. And so number 2 on our list of mistakes that I see with supplements are taking supplements that are contaminated, usually with toxins or prescription drugs, sometimes even ingredients that have been banned by the FDA. Now, there is really no way to know about this except if that supplement has been tested and you have that third-party testing result. And in that case, they really shouldn't even be selling that supplement. But again, like we mentioned a few times so far, some companies just don't care. Most companies just don't care. Going back to the study with 80% of those supplements having contamination issues or problematic labeling, some sort of problems with those supplements. We got to be very careful about what we take and what we're putting in our body on a regular basis. And I know people who take not 1 or 2 supplements, not just a multivitamin. I mean, they have bottles and bottles of supplements laid out. And, consider 80% of those have some contamination in them, some banned ingredient, and you're wondering why your supplements aren't helping you feel better. It's not rocket science here. There are some bad ingredients in a lot of these supplements. And some of them are even built into what you're taking itself, like with the cyanocobalamin. So you're taking B12, but it's giving you microdoses of cyanide at the same time. Great. That's really going to help in the long run. In that manufacturing process, there are chemicals and solvents used, a lot of different processes to create and form supplements, a lot of additives, a lot of fillers that certain companies will use. We've got to be really careful with a lot of those things. Again, some companies do not care what they put in that capsule, in that powder, in that gel form, in that liquid. They don't care. I'm not sure how else to say it, but a lot of those contaminants can be very, very harmful to the body. And some of them are not contaminants. Some companies will intentionally put ingredients that are known to be banned by the FDA in supplements. So for instance, pharmaceuticals have to go through the FDA process to be approved. And it takes years, millions and millions of dollars to get a pharmaceutical drug approved and on the market. However, lots of drugs get denied by the FDA and never make it the formulary as a prescription drug. And so what happens to those chemical compounds? Some companies want to use those anyway and want to sell those anyway. Some compounds have been banned by the FDA after being on the market. And so some supplement companies have taken those banned ingredients, and because the supplement industry isn't regulated, they will put that in their supplement. And because you don't know, we don't have like a chromatography machine at our homes to figure out what's in these different supplements. And so we don't know. You could just be taking anything. This is why it's super important to find companies that you truly trust that have had that third-party testing to understand what's truly in what you're taking and the quality of what you're taking. This is especially prevalent in the weight loss space, in the fitness space, those sorts of ingredients. They have found hormones in vitamin supplements and nutrient supplements. They have found steroids to kind of build your muscles and bump you up in those type of supplements. And we're wondering, why are my adrenals all messed up? Sometimes some of those supplements have steroids in them and you don't even know they're in there. They have found supplements that have antidepressants in there. What if you're already taking an antidepressant and now they put another one on top of that? And those interactions that can happen, antidepressants can interact with so many different things, and they are putting that inside of supplements. It has been proven and found. Sometimes they put banned weight loss substances in supplements, in vitamins. And so many people have no idea that this is happening. Now, is there a comprehensive list? No, because again, these companies will play these shell games and change company names and change branding and those sorts of things to kind of escape the system. They have their whole system set up to run this racket on people. And so it's really up to us to understand what's happening and to take those proper steps to protect ourselves, to protect our health, and not just buy anything because it looks good or sounds good or so-and-so said, oh, it worked for me. Well, it might have worked, but it might have been contaminated with a prescription drug. Do steroids work? Absolutely. You're going to feel really great on that stuff. But then later on, if you're continuing to take that, it will create other problems down the road. So that's not really helping in the long run. And so again, the way to start to avoid that and not run into those problems is to be sure you are using supplements from a company that has had that third-party testing. And now we're finally down to the number one mistake that I see being made with natural supplements. And that is not testing first to make sure you know what your body needs. And I would say this is the number one mistake. Most people are just randomly taking supplements, trying to chase symptoms and think that that is going to be the solution to the problem. That is randomly guessing what you think might help. Symptoms, let's just take fatigue, for instance. If you're feeling tired, that can be for so many different reasons. Maybe you didn't get enough sleep. Maybe your B vitamins are low. Maybe it's not B vitamins at all. Maybe it's vitamin C. Maybe it's not vitamin C. Maybe it's your cortisol. Maybe it's not cortisol. Maybe it's some emotional stress that's happening right now. Maybe it's not that. Maybe it's low thyroid. Maybe it's not low thyroid. Maybe it's hormone imbalances. Maybe it's none of that. Maybe you've just been doing a lot and having a lot going on recently. Usually it's a combination of different things. So I just named 8 different things that it could be. We got to figure out what the actual reason for it is. And if you treat the actual reason, you get results. But everyone's trying to skip steps. Let's just take a shortcut. Let's just do it the fast way. But it's not the fast way. This keeps you cycling and looping for months and years, just randomly trying this and that. You don't have to be random or try any of it. You can figure out what your body actually needs, and that is by testing. Most people end up spending so much more in the long run. I mean, I know people spending hundreds, thousands of dollars on supplements every single month, and it's not making them better. These are not brands that have been third-party tested. These are not brands that have the highest quality amount of ingredient and the amount of ingredients that you actually need, like the dosages. Just because they put low dosages in there doesn't mean that they lower the price. Oh, no, they jack the price up. And so you think because, it costs more, it's the most trendiest vitamin to take, that it's going to actually work. And that's not how it works. What works is matching what your body needs. And you only know that through tests. When I do a nutrient test, I do a combination blood test, urine test to figure out what nutrients are deficient in your body. That's how we figure out what nutrients you need. And then there are a few other tests that we run to see what is deficient. And you treat that, and then you get results. It's not that hard, you know. People want to just run around and chase symptoms. You can't chase the symptoms. The symptoms is not the cause. You have to find the cause, and once you address that, you get results. And those tests help us determine what you as an individual need. It's not about your coworker or your friend or your family member or whoever or so-and-so you saw on the internet or Instagram, the results they got. You need results for you and your body. You're not them. How our metabolisms work is different. What my body will process and what yours will process is totally different. You got to do this based on what your body needs. And the only way you know that is by test and working with an expert who knows how to interpret that. And there aren't many people who do it. And so I hope this episode has been truly useful. Again, make sure your supplements have been third-party tested. These are the big takeaways. Ask those questions before you just start taking something. Does your body truly need it? The only way you know that is by testing. And I already mentioned some of the ordinary lab tests is dealing with outdated information. And so it's not just about having a vitamin D level over 30. You know, there's more recent research that needs to be considered when you're determining what you need to take for optimal health. And so that really does require working with something like a functional medicine physician, not just someone who calls themselves functional medicine. I've heard so many stories. I went to a functional medicine person and then they tell me what happened. And I'm like, they don't sound functional medicine at all. I don't think they know what they're doing at all. And some of these training programs, I mean, a lot of them are pretty sketch. So I don't know. Find someone you trust who can really do it. It does not take a long time to get results and to start noticing a difference with your body. If you've been taking supplements for months, for years, and you don't notice much of a difference and you're still having to do that, the problem has not been fixed. It has not been corrected. And so I would say if there's a bonus mistake, the mistake is taking supplements for too long. The purpose of supplements is to correct imbalances. Now, the body is built and designed to keep everything in balance. It's our lifestyle, it's the stress we're under, a lot of different factors that get our bodies out of balance. And when we're doing something like correcting nutrient deficiencies, once you know specifically what is deficient, you can address that in a very specific and targeted way. And that's what you want to do. That's how you get results. Once you replace those things that are missing, it doesn't take long. Most of my clients are starting to feel better within 2 weeks when they start on a regimen on our blueprint that is designed and targeted for their specific deficiencies that their body is having. The body knows how to respond. The body knows how to heal when it gets what it needs. And when it doesn't, you're spinning your wheels and you'll be taking these things for months and years and not seeing any results at all. And so if you've been in that situation where you're not seeing any progress, that's another sign that something's off about the supplements you're taking. So if you feel like you've been burning money on supplements, getting absolutely nowhere, you're wanting to see that progress, I mean, it is truly not your fault. It is a lot to navigate. And again, this was just my top 5. There is so much more to it than that. But we only have so much time in an episode to discuss these things. And we're in an age and a society where the health and wellness industry is overwhelming, misleading, all this conflicting information that doesn't really make sense. It's confusing. But if you take the right approach, find the problem. If you find it in the first place, you can fix it. And that's my approach. Find it, fix it. So simple. And I do that with my blueprint process. And with supplements, we want to get the right form. We want to get the right dose. We want to make sure that it's not contaminated. We want to make sure that we understand the labels, what's actually in it. And we want to make sure that it's what our body needs. We work hard, and so it's not good to be wasting all of our life force energy when we're already tired on supplements that aren't going to work or even make us worse. If you want to know more about safety with natural supplements and how to choose what's really right for your body and figure those details out, I am inviting you to join the free 1-week Wellness Academy 5-day challenge, where we will be diving deeper into supplements and truly building out that plan for you personally. You can find the link in the description or go to mamawellness.com/1week to join. Again, if you need help with the process, I'm always here. Links to find me are in the description and in the show notes. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the DocMo Show. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think. Have you been taking supplements? Has it been helping you? And if you have other challenges or questions that are stumping you about your health, I want to know what the challenges are so that we can start revealing the information that can really get you progress in your natural wellness journey. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.